Welcome back to 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us for 17 News at Noon. I'm Nicole Gitsky. We begin what was yet another violent weekend in Bakersfield. At least 7 people were shot, with law enforcement investigating 5 separate crime scenes. The latest shooting happened last night in Oildale just after 11:30. Kern County Sheriff's Office received a report of a shooting in the area of East Highland Drive and Harrison Drive. When deputies arrived, they found 40-year-old Michael Glenn Lewis with a gunshot wound. KCSO says Lewis was transported to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead. And just hours earlier, Bakersfield Police Department responded near the corner of East California Avenue and South Baker Street for a shot spotter activation. When officers arrived, they found 2 men suffering from gunshot wounds in the parking lot of the Central Cali Market. Both victims were transported to the local hospital and are expected to survive. And 2 more people were shot early yesterday morning in South Bakersfield. KCSO says it happened on South Fairfax Road, south of East Brundage Lane at around 1:23 a.m. Deputies say they responded to reports of a shooting and found a man and woman both suffering from gunshot wounds. Both are expected to survive. And the sheriff's office is also investigating a shooting that left a man wounded in South Bakersfield Saturday night. Deputies were called to the area of Madison Street and Delmar Drive just after midnight for a report of the shooting. When they arrived, they found a man who was reportedly shot at a party. First responders described the man's wounds as moderate. No suspect information is available at this time. And earlier that morning, a man was shot and killed in Oildale. KCSO says the shooting happened early Saturday morning on Airport Drive. That's where deputies found a man shot and killed. Police are still looking for the suspect or suspects in all of these cases. If you have any information on these shootings, call the sheriff's office at 861-3110 or the Bakersfield Police Department at 327-7111. And police are investigating a stabbing that left 3 wounded. It happened around 11:40 last night on Weed Patch Highway near the 58 on-ramp. According to Kern County Sheriff's Office, they found 3 males all suffering from stab wounds. KCSO describes the injuries as minor to moderate. 2 of them were taken to a local hospital. No suspect information has been released at this time. And over the weekend, 1 person was killed and several others hurt in a car crash in South Bakersfield. It happened near Weed Patch Highway and East Wilson Road around 8:15 last night. When CHP officers arrived, they found 3 vehicles had crashed. Officers say a Chevrolet S10 failed to yield, attempted to make a left-hand turn in front of a Peterbilt tractor. The tractor crashed into the pickup truck, ejecting the 78-year-old man from the truck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. After the crash, the tractor continued into oncoming traffic, colliding with the Suburban. The 2 passengers in the Suburban, including a 5-year-old, all sustained major injuries. The driver of the Suburban and the tractor suffered minor injuries. And now to an issue we follow very closely here at 17 News, pedestrian safety. Now, 1 person was hurt in a crash overnight. According to BPD, a vehicle hit a pedestrian on South Chester Avenue. The person suffered moderate injuries and was taken to the hospital for treatment. BPD did not provide any other details as of news time. And we are still learning about the cruel nature of coronavirus as the death toll keeps rising. We learned of another 23 lives lost today. Most of the new deaths reported are people who died in January or February. The first month of the year was by far our deadliest of the pandemic. A year ago today, only 1 person in Kern County had died from this virus. Now we know of at least 1,239 people who have lost their lives. And most likely that number is higher as health officials continue counting the backlog of death certificates. And while we're still learning how deadly this past surge was, we're seeing a lot of hope for our current situation. Coronavirus is not spreading as quickly as it was just a couple months ago. 53 new cases were announced today. Our average is 61 people testing positive every day. We haven't been that low in nearly 10 months. Hospitals are also in much better shape after a record-breaking 464 COVID hospitalizations in January. New state data shows there are 65 people in the hospital with coronavirus. 11 are in the ICU. And as cases go down, vaccination numbers are going up. Nearly 49,000 people received a vaccine last week, according to state data. That breaks down to almost 7,000 shots given every day. And it's important to remember that the victims of the pandemic are people, not statistics. 17 News is reaching out to those who have lost loved ones to coronavirus. We've provided a space for the community to honor those who died, where you can upload their photos and share their names and your memories of them. We're calling it the Those We've Lost Gallery. If you'd like to post a picture, we have a link on our website, kget.com. And after Governor Gavin Newsom announced plans to expand California's vaccine eligibility this week to those who are aged 50 years or older, today Kern Public Health is expanding vaccine eligibility to everyone in Kern County except for residents in 6 zip codes. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom announced last week all Californians 16 years and older will be eligible for the vaccine beginning April 15th. Those who are 50 years old and up will be eligible for the vaccine beginning this Thursday. Also, family members of those who are eligible can get the vaccine if they are with that person getting the vaccine, no questions asked. And with today's announcement, all Kern County residents 16 years old and up can sign up for a vaccine appointment as early as today. Residents in areas of woody parts of Bakersfield, Tehachapi, and Keene are not eligible under the criteria. Now, those zip codes not eligible include 93287, 93311, 93312, 93314, 93561, and 93531. The move allows those living in lower quartiles on the Healthy Living Index to get vaccinated without having to meet state metrics. Now, to see if you are eligible, head to our website, kget.com. We have provided the link. And the mass vaccination site at CSUB is accepting appointments who meet the new eligibility requirements. If you are eligible, you can sign up for an appointment at myturn.ca.gov. CSUB says they encourage those eligible to get the vaccine now before more tiers open up on Thursday. And taking a look ahead this week, as First Lady Jill Biden is heading to Kern County on Wednesday. The First Lady will visit Delano to take part in a day of action at the 40 Acres National Historic Landmark. The event is in partnership with the Cesar Chavez Foundation, United Farm Workers, and the UFW Foundation. 40 Acres is also the site of mass vaccination clinics taking place each weekend in March, where thousands of farm workers got their vaccines. And now to our 17 follow-up file. Wanda West, the adoptive grandmother of Orrin and Orson West, released a statement pleading with the community to continue searching for her grandsons. She writes, quote, "Someone knows exactly where Orrin and Orson are and what happened in December. Come forward. God and our family have already forgiven you, and you will be free from the guilt and burden I know you are carrying," end quote. She continues saying, quote, "These are babies who are loved and have an entire future waiting for them to explore. Release them and yourself from this. All we want are the boys back." The adoptive parents of Orrin and Orson West reported them missing from California City on December 21st. Since then, Bakersfield police have worked alongside California City Police and the FBI to search for them. The police have not revealed any significant developments in the case. And Wednesday will mark 100 days since the two brothers were first reported missing. On that day, make sure to tune in to 17 News at sunrise for an in-depth look at the investigation so far. Everything we know and the questions left unanswered. It's happening Wednesday morning on Sunrise. In your education news, as schools make the transition to in-person learning, coronavirus concerns remain. The Kernville Union School District informed families of a positive COVID-19 test. KUSD says the individual was last on campus March 25th. All areas where the individual spent time will be disinfected and cleaned according to the district. KUSD stresses if your child does not feel well to stay home. And our parent company Nexstar has announced a collaboration with T-Mobile to deliver free wireless hotspots and free high-speed data to local students. It's called Project 10 Million. Eligible families are those who don't have an internet connection and are enrolled in the National School Lunch Program. If selected, your family will receive 100 gigabytes of mobile data per year and a free mobile hotspot, plus the opportunity to purchase devices at a low cost. For more information or to apply, just head to our website, kget.com, and click on the hot link icon. Taking a look around the nation, the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is underway. Chauvin faces 3 charges, including second-degree murder in the death of George Floyd. Floyd, a black man, died in May of last year after Chauvin pressed his knee into Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes. Video of Floyd's death, in which he can be repeatedly heard saying, "I can't breathe," led to global protests last year against police brutality.
You will hear him crying out, and you will hear him cry out in pain. My stomach hurts, my neck hurts, everything hurts. You'll hear that for yourself. Please, I can't breathe. Please, your knee on my neck. You will hear it, and you'll see at the same time while he's crying out, Mr. Chauvin never moves. The knee remains on his neck, sunglasses remain undisturbed on his head, and it just goes on.
Now, during his opening statement, Special Prosecutor Jerry Blackwell said Chauvin betrayed his badge when he used excessive and unreasonable force against Floyd. Well, just months after being thrust into the national spotlight in the race for the White House and later the Senate, Georgia is once again drawing attention and criticism over a broad new voting measure signed into law by the state's governor. Georgia is facing a new battle over the ballot in Atlanta and around the country. Georgia's new voting law, passed by the Republican-led state legislature, is facing major backlash. Among the changes, that's enforcing new ID requirements for mail-in ballots, limiting the use of ballot drop boxes, and making it illegal to approach voters in line to offer food or water. Republicans say it makes elections more secure and allows many counties to expand early in-person voting. But critics say the changes amount to voter suppression, saying the law specifically targets black voters who turned out in record numbers for the 2020 election. And this comes as the Biden administration extends the moratorium on eviction of tenants who are unable to pay rental payments during the COVID-19 pandemic. The moratorium was scheduled to expire March 31st, but has now been extended through June 30th. It provides protections for renters out of concern that having families lose their homes and move into shelters or share crowded conditions with relatives or friends during a pandemic would further spread the virus. To be eligible for protection, renters must earn $198,000 or less for couples filing jointly, or $99,000 for single filers. They must also demonstrate that they've sought government help to pay the rent, declare that they can't pay because of COVID-19 hardships, and affirm they are likely to become homeless if evicted. According to the Census Bureau survey, more than 10 million Americans are behind on rent or mortgage payments, and more than 5 million say they are at risk of eviction or foreclosure.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Noon.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.